So in this video, I'll be talking about Hades, the king of the underworld from the Greek pantheon. And in Smite, Hades is a guardian, but probably among the most unique of the guardians for a variety of reasons that I'll be getting into in this video. You may notice that I'm going a little bit out of order now, as the last video covered Shak, the Mayan god of rain, and Hades is an H god. I can assure you there are a lot more gods that have the letter C in their name, but I decided to go a little bit differently. I want to start talking about gods that I really quite enjoy in this game first, and then start going back through in alphabetical order, so that I could at least get these out in case anything were to happen. And also, it's just a lot easier to talk about something that you like and enjoy to play, rather than something that you don't quite like. And I gotta admit to you, some of those gods that I've gone over already are not gods that I'm intimately familiar with or I'm really good at. So I think if I can go over gods that I'm a lot better at or enjoy more, I can give you better tips and tricks to them. So now, I mentioned that Hades is a very unique guardian, and that's because he is one of only two guardians in the game that has a ranged basic attack. Guardians are usually melee attackers and mean to be in your face. Hades is a little different, and Hades also has the uniqueness that you more often see him built as a mage than you do a guardian. He's not that good as a guardian, but he's incredible as a mage. So that's the other unique thing to Hades as a guardian in this game. So you can see he still keeps the guardian base statistics being very tanky. 490 starting health plus 80 per level. His mana starts at 265, a lot higher than some of the guardians, and plus 53 per level. He's also slower than most of the other guardians, having only a speed of 355, adding more to the intention of building him as a mage rather than as a true guardian and support. I mean, personally, I think he's one of the better. He's a great mage, but a subpar guardian. So I really like how he can be really tanky as a mage and still hurt a lot. So magical defense here, 30 plus 0.9 per level, which is standard across the board for anyone that isn't a mage. Physical defense, 18 plus 3.2 for a level. So you're gonna have a very tanky endgame mage without even having to buy an item. So endgame at level 20, Hades can pretty easily go over 100 physical defense and still do a lot of damage. You can also see here low basic attack damage, 32 plus 1.5 per level. It always seems like Hades does significantly more than he actually is doing with his basic attacks, so it's a very odd feeling with him, but it's also really easy to hit his auto attacks for some reason. Moving into his abilities, you have his passive called Blight. And all of Hades' basic attacks will apply a debuff to the enemy, which is called Blight. The debuff will stay on the target for 5 seconds and can be refreshed if you hit them multiple times. Every one of Hades' abilities has a special extra power that will activate that will consume the Blight if it hits an enemy that has Blight on them. So now, moving into his first ability, Death from Below, Hades is as unique as a guardian as a mage because he has a leap, and it's not a traditional leap. He goes underground and dashes that way, but he can go through around walls, so it makes him really hard to escape from him and really easy for you to escape. So it's why he's such a good mage, is that he has a reliable escape. So Hades will go down below and then erupt at a target location. He'll do damage to all enemies in the area. If an enemy has Blight on them, they will be slowed, and you will also reapply Blight to them. So you'll consume the Blight and then reapply Blight. Damage 50 to 190 plus 60% of your magical power. Doesn't do a lot of damage, but I'll get into what the usefulness of this ability is later. Its slow goes from 20 to 40% and lasts for 2 seconds at all ranks. Cooldown stays at 12 seconds. Mana cost is 50 to 70. Hades has it's a very good escape. I think it's one of the more reliable ones in the game. Late game you're gonna use it a lot for damage. You can also use it. It's also a really good initiation tool. So Hades has a lot of versatility because he kind of disappears from view for a second and then erupts. You don't see him in the air, so it can be a little disorienting if you aren't used to his movements. And when he just suddenly bursts from the ground. His second ability is called Shroud of Darkness. Hades will just send out a little bit of darkness in a cone in front of him and silence every enemy hit. Additionally, if an enemy has blight on them, they will be feared, which means they'll run very slowly away from you and can't do anything. It's kind of, you can think of fear as the opposite of taunt, where taunt they're forced towards you, fear they're forced away from you. And in taunt they have to attack the Athena. Fear they'll only run away. They'll only run away very slowly. Additionally, after doing anything. Additionally, Shroud of Darkness will apply Blight to every enemy. So if it consumes Blight, it will reapply Blight, much like Death from Below. So the silence, 1 to 2 seconds. 2-second silence is huge in this game. It's only 1 less second than Shock's ultimate ability, and this is a normal ability. 80 mana cost. Cooldown is 15 to 11 seconds. Now moving into Hades' third ability, and one of the ones that he's the most well known for, Devour Souls. Hades will slam his staff on the ground, devouring the souls of his enemies, and he'll do damage to all enemies hit by it. Additionally, if an enemy has blight on them, they will explode. Not actually explode, but they'll explode, dealing damage to themselves and nearby enemies and healing your allies. And that includes you. And this was a nerf because Hades would just if someone got stepped in their wave about a year ago when you were facing a Hades, getting hit by the Devour Souls explosion usually meant you lost about half your health. Just the explosion. Now getting hit by Devour Souls and the explosion means that you'll lose half your health if you're standing in a full minion wave. It hurts. So now Devour Souls will consume Blight. It will not reapply Blight. And every enemy that has Blight will be detonated. So you can heal for a lot of health and do a lot of damage to everything around you. Its base damage goes from 75 to 235 plus 70% of your magical power. The damage the detonation does goes from 20 to 48 plus 50% of your magical power. The detonation radius is 20, so after detonating, that will be the units that the detonation will deal damage and heal at. And the healing that it does is 30 to 70 plus 15% of your magical power. Now, something interesting to know, the reason why the healing is so high and the detonation damage is so low, at least I think, the detonation damage, you can be hit by as many detonations as is possible in a small area, but the healing will only return 3 hits of healing, no matter how many enemies you detonate. So if you detonate 6 enemies with Blight, there will be 6 explosions that it can hit someone, but you and your allies will only be healed by 3 of the explosions. So as that Hades can't just restore his entire health bar by detonating a wave. He still can. It might take 2. So the mana cost 65 to 105 mana. The cooldown goes from 15 to 11 seconds. This is Hades' bread and butter ability, and probably the one that you'll use the most often, and is probably his best ability in this kit. Now going into his ultimate ability, Pillar of Agony. Hades will just suck in enemies around him, pulling them closer to him and doing damage every half a second for 4 seconds. And if an enemy is blighted, their protections are reduced when the blight is consumed. Hades will also gain a small amount of protections for the duration of his pillar. So now Hades stands still and draws in enemies around him while doing damage. And you can't really walk out of it, but you can still jump or dash away or be CC immune. It's not a slow, it's just kind of a pull. So that it's kind of CC, but not really. I don't even know how to describe it. He just kind of pulls you towards him. Damage protect 45 to 105 plus 30% of your magical power. Remember, being hit 8 times, you can be hit up to 8 times by this ability, so you can do a lot of damage with it. The protections that you gain 40 to 80 by activating this, so you'll be very tanky while in the pillar. And the protections debuff 10 to 30 for 4 seconds by the consumption of Blight, so the enemy has to be blighted before you activate this. Pillar of Agony will not apply Blight. Mana cost 100, cooldown 9 seconds, standard ultimate stuff. So now, I say that Hades isn't really a true support. I don't think he's very good in the role. But he is, right now, especially one of the best solo laners in the game. His wave clear is unparalleled. He flat out just can win a lot of matchups, and there's few matchups that can beat him outright if you're good with him. And the reason why is because he is just such a bully, and his main strength is that he can push a wave so quickly, and keep his minions alive so easily that he can just push a full minion wave into the tower, and without even killing you, he'll just keep chipping away at your tower's health until it just dies. And there's very little you can do about it because you're not going to be out clearing Hades. He'll just heal all his minions and then just hit you with damage. So the way you start with Hades has a weak level 1, level 2, level 3. But at level 4, whenever you get Devour Souls to its second level, that's when Hades really hits a stride. So level 1, you want to start with Devour Souls. With the jungle clear, you can just hit the minions 3 times, or the big minion once, and then just Devour Souls. Not only will you do damage to it, but you'll heal your jungler, so that they take less damage by tanking. You can also do that. That's what you'll usually do with a speed buff. Once you move to the mana buff, you'll hit all 3, and then Devour Souls, just so that you take very little damage. Your jungler just heals to full, and you do a ton of damage at level 1 Devour Souls. Once you hit level 2, you want to go for the Death from Below, because with this you can just almost flat out insta clear a wave by jumping into it with Death from Below and then using Devour Souls on it, and you'll just either kill or bring down most of the minions to very low health. It costs a little bit of mana early game, 115 just to use the 2 abilities, but with a mana buff that relieves your mana usage a little bit. It's just such a good use of your abilities and such an easy lane clear. It allows you to be the lane bully that Hades is known for. At level 3, you definitely want Devour Souls at level 2, or take it to the second level, Devour Souls. At this point, you'll be like almost completely clearing archers if you hit your 1 on them and hit the 3 on a bunch of enemies. And this way, you're just gonna really just clear so easily. It's almost ridiculous how easily you'll clear. So now you're just truly destroying the lane. And this is as early as level 3, when few gods when few gods can even like halfway clear the wave. You'll be almost full clearing it by this point. At level 4, you take Shroud of Darkness. I think Shroud of Darkness just allows you to bully the enemy, silencing them out of whatever they're doing, fearing them, so that you get free minion poke and free of your own poke. It's just such a good ability to have at level 4, and since you have to you either save the point or level up, you might as well just level it up so that you have it in your back pocket. At level 5, now, this is what you can do. Since solo lane, you're more focused on dealing with the opponent in front of you. If the enemy has an ability that allows them to get out of the Pillar of Agony, it's not really worth taking at level 5, because unless you're like really ahead, because you're likely not going to be able to kill them. If they have a normal ability that lets them get out, you won't kill them unless you see them use it. Or if they have an ultimate and they're about to hit and they hit level 5, you just don't even want to have Pillar of Agony ready, because Hades is just such a bully. He'll never really lose lane. He's such a bully, and you'll be on tower, but you also will always be like high health, so the enemy jungler isn't really gonna have a good time with ganking you. So you don't really need to worry about that. And just having Devour, and it's kind of up to you. If you think you can kill your enemy solo laner by taking Pillar of Agony, or you take it at level 5. If you don't, or the enemy has an escape that can just get them out without taking too much damage, you take Devour Souls at level 3 till its third level. And what that third level will do is now you'll insta clear waves by using your 1-3 combo, and there's nothing the enemy can do about it. You'll just heal all your minions. You can heal yourself. You'll just kill their wave. There's nothing they can do about it, and they can just watch as you push their wave after wave into their tower, and they can't really do a whole lot about it. At level 6, you're gonna have Devour Souls at level 3 and Pillar of Agony at level 1. No matter which route you take, it's just an option of can I get some aggression down with Pillar of Agony, or can I just start instant clearing the wave with Devour Souls. At level 7, you get Devour Souls to level 4. You'll heal for everything. You'll instant clear waves with few questions. The only minion you won't kill by wave clear by using your 1/3 is the big minion. So it's just a really good idea, just to take it. Now, at level 8, you can go one of two directions. I personally always like getting Shroud of Darkness at level 8 because that 1.25 second silence is huge. And you lower its cooldown. Since the silence is your only true hard CC, and the fear, it's just going to be so useful to fear someone before launching into Pillar of Agony and getting 2 free ticks on them and reducing their protections. And that way you can just do a lot of damage to them with everything. And then at level 9, take another level Pillar of Agony. You just do more damage, get tankier by using it, and yeah, there's no reason not to take it. Level 10, finish off Devour Souls. You'll be impossible to beat in lane at this point. You'll just be able to thrust waves into the enemy tower. At level 10, Hades usually takes the first tower, and it's earlier than most solo laners can, without even. And the worst part that you'll feel as the solo laner opposing Hades is that he won't even kill you and take your tower. He'll barely even push you out. He'll just take your tower, and there's nothing you can do about it because you can't kill his minion waves. He'll just heal them, and you can't poke him out because he'll just jump into your wave again and heal himself. It's hard to fight Hades. Now at level 11, you could go one of two directions. You could either start maxing out. Putting levels into Death from Below, just for the more damage and its mana cost isn't too astronomical, but you don't really need to, especially if you've cleared the first tower. Your lane push is already just unmatchable with Devour Souls, and you can save the Death from Below at this point and just use Shroud of Darkness because Devour Souls will insta clear the wave anyway. So you don't really need Death from Below. At level 11, I go Shroud of Darkness, get to level 3. Level 12, I level up Shroud of Darkness, and level 13 and get Pillar of Agony. Level 14, finish off Shroud of Darkness. Then I start maxing out Death from Below. Because at the point that you're going to start getting near level 20, you're in the team fight phase with Hades, and Hades' team fight isn't great. But if you get a really good initiation with him, he can wreak havoc, and he's just going to and he can have a really good early burst, and then control the middle of the fight with a tactical Pillar of Agony after a silence, and the Shroud of Darkness can really turn the tables on the enemy team by taking people out of the fight with fears or silences. So, as to Hades' true power. His true power lies in the Death from Below and the Devour Souls because it's just such an easy. They have the same radius, so any enemy that you hit with Death from Below that doesn't, and then immediately follow up with Devour Souls will be hit by Devour Souls and detonate, which will heal you and deal damage to them. So it's just really hard for people to fight Hades if you can reliably land a combo. The fear is just massive. You want to make sure that you're using Shroud of Darkness only against blighted enemies, so you get that fear. Because the fear is just so much better than the silence that you don't want to lose it. Pillar of Agony is an ultimate that you have to use very tactically. Because once you Pillar of Agony an enemy team, they're going to all turn on you. And those extra protections seem massive, but when you have the entire enemy team focusing on you, you're just going to die. And it's just really hard to counter. But overall, I think Hades is is the best solo laner in the game right now. And there's few guys that can match him, that can even go even with him, and there's no one that beats him. I think his team fight is kind of weak, and his endgame's overall weak, but I think he brings a lot to the table and can do a lot of damage to people. Now, going into the recommended items, you can see here, even high-res Studios understands that more people play Hades as a solo laner than they do a Guardian. With him, you want to go Vampiric Shroud and the Lost Artifact. Hades does not really need a lot of lifesteal due to how Devour Souls works, but he definitely needs mana because of how much he has to expend by using his lane clear. So Lost Artifact is just a really good idea with him. Healing potion and a mana potion, or a healing potion and a ward. A ward is a little bit stronger because it gives you vision of the jungler when they rotate it out, or if they come back for an early gank or for an invade. It kind of is up to you. Early on in your Smite career, you're not going to really need the ward early because teams are not as tactical, and if you're just a better player, you'll win those fights anyway. But later, like once you hit the max rank on your account, and you start playing ranked, you're gonna want to have that ward in the solo lane, since you're getting a mana buff anyway. Hades' core items: Shoes of the Magi, Warlock Sash, and Obsidian Shard. Shoes of the Magi gives him mana and power, and Hades does very well with both. Gives him the full movement speed, that he's gonna need. Yada yada yada. Now, Warlock Sash is an interesting item. Especially with Hades. Hades does really well with a lot of health because he's got some really good natural scalings, and having high health with him just means that you're incredibly difficult to kill. So I think it's a really good idea with Hades. The Obsidian Shard is there in case the enemy has a lot of magical defense or tanky targets. Obsidian Shard will let you do a lot of damage to them. Because he gives you flat 33% penetration and 70 magical power, and it's really cheap and only 2,050 gold. I think it's a good idea if they have a lot of magical defense. If they don't, you don't need it because it's not really going to be offering you too much. Because 33% of 30 is just 10, and that's not really worth buying Obsidian Shard for. But 33% of 100 is 33, which is massive. As for some damage items, since you want to start a Lost Artifact, Chronos Pendant is really good with Hades. Gives him more cooldown, more chances to devour souls, more Shroud of Darkness, more jumps. It's just such a good item with him. Now, as for lifesteal, you could go Bancroft's Talon, get a flat 100 damage, which Hades does really well with, and the magical power, his health is lost, scales really well with Warlock Sash because you'll have a lot of health to be able to afford to lose. Or you could go an alternate route and go Pythagorean's Peace. Again, cooldown is really strong with Hades. Gives you a lot of lifesteal and a lot of power. It's more expensive than Bancroft, but I think Hades does well with it and can really shines. He's one of a few magical gods that does really well with Pythagorean's Peace. And then Rada Tahuti, really good with Hades. I think having that massive damage spike is just so good on him, and he's gonna be hurting for a lot more. His team fight becomes incredibly strong once he has it, and it makes Hades' weaker late game really even out a little bit. Some items that you go for defensive. Breastplate of Valor is good with him. Spirit Robe, Magi's Blessing, all really good. But I think building Hades very damagey is just so much stronger than getting any of these items. As for actives, I think Hades can get away with not having beads. He's one of a few gods. I personally like beads with him just so that you can pop it for the cooldowns or get away and use your dash and get away. But I think you can if you don't need the beads and there isn't a CC heavy lineup on the enemy team, you can not have them entirely and you'll be pretty fine. I think a strong active with Hades is the Shield of the Underworld. You pop it right before you start using your Pillar of Agony, and you're forcing the enemy to choose between attacking you and taking damage or not attacking you and taking more damage. So you're kind of putting them in a lose-lose situation by doing that, even because it lasts for about the full duration of Pillar of Agony. If you don't, so I usually like beads and Shield of the Underworld with Hades. Going into Hades' skins here, you have his standard skin. Interesting fact about this one: this used to be a gem skin called the Nightmare skin. But when Smite expanded into China, Hi-Rez wanted to do a little bit more, and since the I can show you. This is what original Hades looked like. The bones are kind of taboo in Chinese culture, so Hi-Res moved the Nightmare skin, which had less bones on it, to be Hades' base skin, and anyone who owned Hades before the change got his classic skin and could still use it. They have not changed his recolor Bloodfire. I think this is one of the coolest recolors in the game because it also changes the color of his attacks and his blight from a purple to a red. I think it's one of the coolest skins that's available in Smite, and I really like it. You have his Gold and Diamond Legendary skins, and then you have Soul Taker, Hades' gem skin, which is a really cool skin. I personally enjoy all that Hades is. He's one of my favorite gods in the game. Not one of my most played because he's not useful in every situation, but I think he's still a really good god, and I'm glad he's coming back. So, I guess that's Hades. I'm going to start, from now on, I'm probably going to start going around and choosing the gods to do guides on that I really enjoy more. So, you're going to see a little less alphabetical order. Once I'm out of those gods, I'll probably go back to the alphabetical order of things, but until then, this will probably be you can expect a little bit more variety in the names of gods. So, that's it.